Okay, so thank you so much for everybody who joined on live. If you have to jump off for some reason, that's totally okay. Um, no problem. There's some things I made some notes about that I wanted to talk to you guys this week. And it really, it doesn't matter which food plan you're following, it will definitely relate to everybody. Okay, so we've talked about this before for anybody who's been around for a while. But actually, you know what? And I'll mute you guys so that you can unmute yourselves after if you need to, but then it will be quiet so you can hear me. Okay, so we've talked about this before. I don't know if you guys were on that particular call, but what we talked about was the number one step you need to take whenever you're going to kind of decide to change anything in your life. So whether it is, how you're going to eat, or, what your lifestyle is going to look like, or maybe, if you have goals with your work or your family or whatever, a really, really, really big part of that is visualization. So it's having this clear vision inside your head of exactly where you want to be. And it sounds super hokey. I felt that exact same way where I'm like, yeah, I envision myself, laying in a day spa, these fancy men are fanning me and I'm eating chocolate all day. That's my ideal visualization. No, joking husband, he's down the hall. But the visualization is super, 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 super important when it comes to making healthier changes, because you need to be able to visualize exactly where you want to be, because we all know there's going to be really hard days. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be things that we run into that we're like, oh, it's just so much easier to not do this. It feels that way, right? In the moment, it's like, it's just so much easier to drive through the drive-through. It's just so much easier to grab the chips instead of cutting up some veggies, those kinds of things, right? So you really have to stop. And, if you haven't done this already, I advise you after this call, or if you're watching the recording, to pause the call right now, get out a piece of paper and a pen, and sit down and write exactly what you visualize your healthy life looking and feeling like, but most importantly, what it feels like. Okay, so, imagine feeling like your energy is really high, you're feeling great, you wake up in the morning and you don't have any joint pain, everything's moving well and feeling great, your clothes are fitting amazing. When you lay down at the pillow at night, you feel awesome, you have a great night's rest, you wake up, you feel well rested, you feel strong. You feel confident in a swimsuit in the summer. You feel really comfortable in your clothes, like you don't feel like they're tight and restrictive. You feel like you can reach into your closet and grab anything out and it feels really good on your body. Or you can walk into a store and you can look at whatever clothes you want because they all feel good on your body. It's really important to go into as much detail as possible about like every inch of your life. But most importantly, how you feel and how you want to feel. Okay, how you want to feel in that healthier way. Ask yourself after you do that, do you believe in your vision? So do you believe in this vision that you've wrote out? Yeah, no strep throat and ear infection. You're so healthy because you're taking such good care of yourself. That would just happen. No, nothing would get to you. So ask yourself, do you even believe it's possible? Because let's face it, we come from a diet culture, right? There's always something new. There's always a new fad. And it's always like, do this for a few months, then get tired of it, or it's not sustainable, so you quit on it and you move on to something else. And it's this yo-yo effect. And it's so hard and it's so frustrating to be stuck in that. It's so exhausting. So this vision that you create for yourself where you feel healthier, you need to believe that it can actually happen, okay? You need to actually visualize yourself in there. And you have to remember that not to be hard on yourself, because progress happens in stages. It does not happen overnight. And anything worth happening does not happen in 5 seconds, okay? It takes time. It really does take time. It took time to, put the weight on or get to the position you're at. It's going to take time to get to where you would like to be. Don't beat yourself up about where you are. But also when you write this vision out, Don't lie to yourself, okay? Don't set yourself up with unrealistic expectations. There has to be this like balance that you know it's going to take some time to get to where you want to be. And then you can decide. You can either scale back your vision if you need to, for now, like maybe think in like what you can. So if you write this down and you're like, yeah, like, maybe you have 60 pounds to lose. And you have this vision of yourself, being a swimsuit model, and you are like 6-pack abs in 6 months. Like maybe that's a possibility, but more likely, is that something that is going to take more time to get to? Probably. So let's either readjust the expectations and like the timeline of when you want to accomplish that, or work on your mindset and how you feel about everything, because the only thing we can't change is our genetics. That's just our genetics. But the thing we can change is our mindset about everything. So if you naturally have a mindset where you feel, easily frustrated, or you are, finding yourself self-sabotaging often, or you're not believing in yourself, that's something that there are tons and tons and tons of books and amazing podcasts and videos that you can watch that are going to fill that little bit of doubt and help you get past that, so that your mindset is so much better, so that you actually believe these things that you're visualizing for yourself. You actually believe that you can change your health. You can change your life, okay? But yeah, the other thing is I did a video on this on Monday, actually, in our Fit Club, and I was talking about accepting full responsibility. And I'm going to tell you, this is hard. It really hurts, and it's hard. But if you're somebody so for me, for example, the first probably like 6 months that I started 21 Day Fix and I started portion control, my husband was not doing anything to help. Nothing. In fact, I felt like he was trying to not help. Like every time I'm trying to be good, that kind of thing. And he was like mowing down on chips beside me, or like, I was like, can you cook tonight? And he would be like, yeah, sure. What do you want? Meaning like, where do you want me to go get takeout? And I'm like, no, like, come on, I need your help. And I used a lot of external things as excuses, or reasons why things weren't working for me. And it's really, really simple to be like, that doesn't work for me because of this, or, this just isn't for me because of that. And maybe right now, you may be right that things didn't work for you for a certain reason in the past, like whatever you tried, but now you know better and you have way better tools. Like we've got real nutrition tools. Like we've got courses, we've got people that this is their life, is making healthier recipes, figuring out how to best, utilize your metabolism and those kinds of things. Like this is based on science. It's not based on whatever trend or fad is going on. Like this is real. So now you've got the better tools, and you have got to tell yourself that everything from now on is 100% in your control and is your responsibility. And that's really hard. It's like your mindset, your goals, the decisions that you make, everything, every part of your day, how you react to things, that's in your control, 100%. You cannot, it's so easy, like, oh, I ate a huge chunk of chocolate cake last night because I was really stressed out about blah, 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 insert whatever, right? Or you can say, you know what? I was stressed out, and a lot of people say like on the weekend, like because of this, and we were at parties and that kind of thing. You've got to get to a point where you can start to really take ownership of your behavior and your decisions and say, no one is force feeding me this food. No one is saying you have got to eat this. No one is saying, I'm eating it, so you've got to eat it too. No, it's 100% in your control and your decision to decide what you put into your body. But if they're derailing you, it's because you're allowing it. That makes sense? Often the person who is derailing you maybe isn't a significant other, it's you. It's you who's self-sabotaging. I am. I'm not going to say I was. I'm a queen of self-sabotage. I can get into a really good groove, and then I can somehow talk myself out of what I'm doing, even though I feel great. Like, I'm eating well. When I eat well, my body feels really good. Like, I'm not even talking about like a certain number on the scale. I'm saying like, I don't feel bloated. I don't feel yucky. Like, I feel like my skin is glowing. I feel like my digestion is working. I feel like my clothes fit well, and I don't feel self-conscious. Find balance in what I eat, when I eat next. Everything else. Balance is huge. And yes, I feel like a lot of us have the struggle with the self-sabotage. You get on a roll, and I think that comes from that whole deprivation mindset. So you're like, I can't have this, I can't do that. There's all these rules, there's all these restrictions. And then you like let in a little bit of what you feel like is a cheat. And then it's like all or nothing mentality, right? It's like, well, I blew it, so I might as well, the whole rest of the day is blown. Or it's like Thursday and you have a bad meal and you're like, well, that week's done, so I might as well blow it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Where it's like that saying is, if you had one flat tire, would you go around and slash the other 3 tires on your car? No, of course not. You would fix the tire that has the problem. Jill says, I'm also a self-sabotager with my all or nothing mentality. Yes, me too. I do too. The responsibility thing, that's really hard. Like, I have you know what? I don't even every time I say that, I'm like, I have a lot of stress in my life. Everybody has a lot of stress in their life. What one person's stress looks like, it can be totally different. And something that stresses me out might not stress somebody else out, or their, whatever might be catastrophic and they're handling it. Like, it doesn't matter what your like outside stresses are. Everybody, if you're feeling stressed by it, then it's a stressor, and it's going to have an effect on you. I listened to this amazing podcast about why a lot of us tend to self-sabotage. And what she said in it was that if we're unhappy with how we look and feel, but we've stayed that way for a long time, then there must be a reason that it serves us in some way, if that makes sense. Like, she was saying, like, if it wasn't serving you in some way, you would change, right? Because if we're uncomfortable or really, really unhappy, we will force the change. That's really the only way change happens, is when we're really forced to do it. And this was really neat for me, because this really did resonate with me. She said that maybe the idea of letting go of unhealthy habits with like your food or even your exercise or whatever, it makes you feel like you're losing control. And this is one of the things, like, so your food, even if it was like not the healthiest food, was something that you felt like you could control in your life. And you felt like, your treats and that kind of thing, that was part of what you could control. And there's so many things in your day that you can't control. Or maybe you're living up to a false belief from your childhood, or, from a toxic relationship. Maybe maybe you were the kid that they always said, oh, you were big boned. Or me, I was chipmunk cheeks, they always said. Like, those kinds of things, they sit with you. Like, oh, you're the one that was in like the double digit sizes in your clothing, or you know what I mean? Like, you were the bigger girl, those kinds of things. And it's not even that matters, because if you are happy and healthy in the body shape that you are, and you should really try hard to be that at every single point in your life, no matter what size you are or what the scale says. But if you are feeling that way because of somebody that has no relevance in your life told you years ago, then that's something that you need to work on, that we all need to work on getting out of our head, because those people don't belong in our head. They don't get any space in our head. Okay, so I got one more thing, 2 more things. Holy taco, eh? So we live in a society where emotions are equated with food. And I was listening to this podcast, and it was so true. But it's like, right from when we're babies, we are conditioned that if there is an emotion and we need comforting, what do we do with a crying baby? Oh, they must need a bottle, or oh, they must need to nurse. And we give that food to them. Is that what they always need? Probably not. But is that going to comfort them in the moment? Maybe. often, whatever, but then it's like, it just follows us through life. It's like, oh, you got an A on the test. Let's go out for ice cream. Jill, it was a Shalene one from her nutrition thing. I can send it to you. It was really good. Basically, I'm telling you the whole podcast right now. Um, she's like she's the PIO lady for anybody who's watched her on Beachbody On Demand. But now she's really, really heavy into nutrition. But yeah, so we celebrate, and we're taught right from the beginning, and it's not just celebrations. It's like, okay, somebody passes away. What do people bring to like the family of the people? More food, comfort food. Somebody breaks up, your friend breaks up with her boyfriend. What do you bring her? Probably like ice cream or something, chocolate. Yeah. Right. Like it's like we have a celebration. What is it usually surrounding? Food. What kind of food are you going to bring? It's a barbecue. Bring, like there's all these things. And then holidays with Easter coming up, like it's the same kind of thing. We've really made it about the food a lot more so than we have about like the people and the experience and the things we're feeling and the reason we're actually getting together. So Alana in To Be Mindset talks about this a lot. Autumn does a good video on it too about eating on holidays and stuff, or at holiday season, and how you can set your plate up in a good way so that you're not overeating. But also from a mindset standpoint, why are you getting together for this? Is it to celebrate, maybe you're religious, maybe your family doesn't see each other very often, maybe it is like it's just a time to get together and enjoy and chat or drive each other crazy like most families. Whatever it is, you need to find a joy in what's going on and not just make it all about the food. And as somebody who thinks about food all the time, trust me, I know that's easier said than done. So it's something that takes practice and mindfulness and using as many tricks as we can to make sure that we're just not in that headspace where we're like, eat all the food and then leave the event feeling gross, feeling overstuffed, feeling like you're hungover from food. Yeah, it's not the food that makes us feel, oh, this was the other thing she said. Whenever we do use food for emotional reasons, it's a quick fix, right? It works for it's a temporary fix. It's going to work for like a few minutes, but we're going to wake up the next morning and it's not going to have helped anything. And maybe it's even going to have made our guilt and how we feel about our bodies and our confidence and those kinds of things even worse. So it's a temporary thing. It's not a permanent solution. And we have to look for better, healthier habits to replace those unhealthy habits that we've made with food. So this is another kind of activity where you get out a piece of paper and a pen after and think of what activities make you feel good in the moment and long term. So I was like, that's really interesting because we know that food makes us feel good in the moment, but it does not make us feel good long term if it's something that's not really aligning with our goals and what we'd like to accomplish, right? So things like maybe spending time with your family. Maybe you're somebody who finds joy in cleaning. That's not me. Maybe organizing. Yes, I like that. Journaling, taking a bath, reading, whatever it is, something that is not food related that you get joy out of, and that's like a longer joy, right? Like a long lasting joy. I was just talking to my friend about this. I have it really back to my dad now. Yes. I bet actually, do we talk about, I don't remember if that's in To Be Mindset or what, or if it's in Portion Fix. Now I've got so much nutrition information in my brain. Our eating habits 100% come from how we were raised. And it takes a lot of time to maybe undo some things. And like, God bless our parents. They did the best they could, same as we're doing the best we can, right? Like you do what you can with the information you have. But now we know better, so we can do better. Like that saying, you know better, you do better. But they didn't know. Like we went through the time of like fat free and, like, oh, let's have fat's bad for you. So let's have things with all these chemicals in them because it's going to take the place of the fat that's naturally in it. And it's like, they thought they were doing the right thing for us. Diet pops, pop in general was a thing. Just like, cigarettes in the 50s and 60s it was okay. And then when they knew better, they did better. Well, now that's become really the situation with food. The like obesity epidemic is legit. Like most of us have some kind of weight struggle. And it's not because we don't have willpower or because we suck as humans or we have no self-control. It's because the foods that are out there are really, really addictive. And that's why it's really, really important to do like what Autumn says. And she says what does she call it? Basically, she says crowd them out. So you crowd out the bad foods with eating a whole bunch of good foods so that you feel full and satisfied and you don't feel like you need to eat the crappier foods, right? Okay, so the last thing, the feelings that we have, so whether that be anxiety, anger, sadness, happiness, just exhaustion after a long day, the feelings are not going to go away. You're always going to have those feelings. And they're going to come from different situations. They're going to come up. Sometimes you cannot control the feelings. So you need to figure out healthier ways to react to them. You need to be a problem solver. And that is going to be like a personal thing of how that works best for you. But that has got to be something that you're mindful about. How can I be, how can I deal with these emotions in a healthier way? Because the emotions aren't going anywhere. Okay. So I'm going to end the recording and we'll do a chat. So for everybody who didn't come on live, I'm sorry you're missing the best part, but thank you for catching the recording. And for you guys, let's talk.